Good morning, good morning. God bless everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day today. It is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I'm going to talk to you today about what do you do with Jesus. So you want to hear something cool? You want to see something that played out? Is pretty interesting. So you have the trial of Jesus Christ, right? There's a couple key players. There's Judas Iscariot, who turns in Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. You got the chief priest of the Jews, who were called the Sadducees, and then you had Pontius Pilate, who was the overseer of that district set up by Rome at the time, right? Thanks for the hearts. Love it. So check this out. So Pilate, it's the Feast of Passover is coming. And the Jews are accusing Jesus of saying that he's the king of the Jews. And the reason they're doing this is because they know that in order to get the Romans to crucify Jesus Christ, they have to have a legal reason for Rome to do it, because Romans had taken their right of the death penalty away. So then they knew, the chief priest knew, that they had to convince Rome that Jesus was worthy of death. So what they did was say, all right, he calls himself the king of the Jews, so that's what the allegations were to Rome, to Pontius Pilate. So Pontius Pilate says, okay, it's a custom during the Passover for us to release one of your prisoners unto you. So Pontius Pilate kind of is like a seasoned judge, you know. He knows what when someone's telling the truth or not. He can kind of tell that something's not right, probably with the leaders of the Jews. So he says, I have an idea. I'll release a prisoner. You could either release Jesus, who's done nothing wrong, or you could release Barabbas, who's a murderer. And he figures he probably has the ability to get the crowds to chant Jesus, because they wouldn't want the murderer released. But during this time, the priests were telling and convincing the crowds to yell Barabbas, and they have a lot of influence. So they were saying Barabbas, Barabbas, Barabbas. So Pontius Pilate's wife comes to him and says to him during this period, you know, I don't want you to have anything to do with that just man, because I've suffered many things in a dream because of him today. So it kind of like puts Pilate in a really hard position. You know, now you got your wife sitting here telling you don't have anything to do with that just man, because, you know, I suffered a lot in the dream because of him. And so he really is in a pickle now. What does he do? So the crowds are screaming, free Barabbas. So he says to them, what then will I do with Jesus, called the Messiah? You know, it's an interesting question. That's the question I want to ask you today. Because he was asking the crowds that, but really, it's a question that we all have to face. What do you do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah? It's a heavy question. It's a question that we all have to face. It's not just Pilate's decision. He was the judge of the Jesus at that time, but in essence, it's the same question that's posed to all of us. What will you do with Jesus that's called the Messiah? But here's another interesting fact about it. It doesn't matter what you choose, it does for you, but Jesus' destiny is already set in stone. You see, Pilate's decision and judgment on the matter had nothing to do with Jesus' destiny, because according to God's foreknowledge and predetermination, Jesus was crucified at the foundations of the earth. So this was set to fulfill prophecy. Had nothing to do with Pilate's decision. Had nothing to do with affecting Jesus' destiny. It actually had to do more with affecting his own destiny. What will you do with Jesus of Nazareth, the Messiah, the Son of God? You know, all throughout Jesus' trial, his capture, his trial, and his crucifixion. The Bible's very clear, and God puts a lot of attention to making sure that we as the readers and throughout history understand that Jesus Christ was innocent. When Judas throws the silver back at the priest's feet, he says, I betrayed innocent blood. When Pilate's wife says don't do anything with him, she says of that just man. She's calling him just. When he was on the cross, they were saying, look at us, we deserve, the thieves are saying, we deserve this death, but he's done nothing amiss. Constantly being affirmed of that he was an innocent, slaughtered lamb for us. And the question that Pilate had to face that day is the same question that we all have to face. And I just encourage you today to realize that Jesus came into this world. It's real. It really happened. It's part of history. No historian worth his salt will tell you that Jesus didn't live. So there's either three things that he is. He's either a liar, a lunatic, or he really is the Son of God. There's no escaping those three options. So choose you today what you believe. Was he a liar? Was he a lunatic? Or was he really the Son of God? I'm going with the latter. I believe he was the Son of God. There's so much evidence pointing through prophecy, how he fulfilled prophecy, everything that he's done throughout his whole life, the way he's healed the sick and cured the blinds and died innocent on the cross, where he was born. There are certain things that were prophesied about him that just no man could just go out and fulfill if he wanted to. Where he was born, his name, the way he was going to die, what they were going to do at it says they gambled his clothes at his cross was part of it. All of his joints came out of place. That was part of crucifixion. All these things were part of the prophecy of his death, his life, and where he was going to come into the world. And all those things were also out of his control. So I would strongly recommend you loving Jesus, giving your life to him. Learn about Jesus. It's not just a story that's made up, and it doesn't require blind faith. It's historically accurate, and it's probably the most important decision. It is the most important decision you'll ever make in your life. So I just want to encourage you today to give your life to Jesus. Better rewatch this because I'm about to sign off. So enjoy your day, and God bless.